Hi guys, and welcome to another Under Par golf video. Me and Michael are here at Newton Mearns Golf Academy for our very first one of 6 lessons. So yeah, we're here with Alastair. This is going to be our coach for the next 6 lessons. We're just really here to see how we can improve our game, see how much needs to be changed. I think that could be a good bit. So yeah, let's get into the lesson.
To start with is just kind of give us a wee, so you've obviously played a bit of golf, not massive amounts recently, but you played a bit about when you were younger.
Most I've played is maybe once a week, maybe maybe two in a month, maybe.
Right. You don't have an official handicap or anything like that?
No, I think me and Michael are saying that we feel as if we're maybe like 20 to 25,
right,
somewhere
okay.
like that.
Cool,
Really.
cool. Okay. What would you have any kind of what you felt like strengths and weaknesses of your game?
I would like to get, I think everyone probably says this, but I'd like to get probably a bit more consistent with the driver.
Yep.
I just changed the driver.
I see,
I'm
good
not
one,
hitting it very well at all now,
okay.
I'm not consistent. And I guess you probably hear this all the time, but I'd love to start hitting my irons. I can hit irons sometimes pretty flush, and it feels absolutely amazing. But see, just to consistently,
do that most of the time.
Feel a bit more consistent.
No worries.
That would be good.
Well, we'll hit a few 7-irons and we'll hit a few drivers, and we've got TrackMan here, so we'll get you on there, see what's going on with a few numbers, but we'll get you on the video as well, and you can see everything that's happening with your swing. All right. So
this is Alastair, by the way.
Hi there. How you doing?
I forgot to introduce
all my fault.
Alastair there. Yes.
How long have you been playing for Alastair?
Longer than I can remember. At 47 now, I think I took the game up when I was about 5, so quite a while. But I've been a pro for about 25 years now, so it feels like a previous life before that. But it was a great game. Honestly, it's a great game.
When you're playing well.
That's great. That's right. There's always 1 or 2 shots, so you'll hit well enough. So you talked about kind of consistency of strike. Would you find you sometimes a bit heavy? A bit
sometimes
thin,
I'll thin it. Thin it.
Right.
Sometimes I think what I used to do a lot was hit really far behind the ball.
Yep.
So I think when I set up now, I'm trying my hardest to make sure I'm setting up to be in front of the ball now.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not.
Okay.
Really what
no worries.
So
what we'll do, do what you do. We'll head down see the 125 there.
Yep.
Right. So that's what we're using for our direction. You have yourself a few wee practice swings there first without the ball, just to get yourself going, and we'll see how we get on. Cool. And just do what you would normally do. Fine. Plenty of speed anyway. Okie dokie, let's just go ahead there, heading towards that 125. Don't worry where the ball goes just now.
That was definitely thinny.
Yeah.
7. Thinned it along the ground, 300 yards.
A better strike. Reasonable hit as well.
I don't know if I'm sometimes I'm thinking I'm overthinking my swing a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm neglecting my bottom half to really start the follow through. But
okay. Yeah, so I mean things like you certainly one of the biggest mistakes we all make is overdoing it, is overthinking it. Any golfer, I always feel any golfer of any level that stands over the ball with 4 or 5 swing thoughts going on in here is a disaster, right? So we've got to get, what we're doing here is getting you a clear picture of what you do, right? Why the ball does what it does, and then how we work away at getting it. But it's not like trying to just throw 5 things. We need to do all that at once, because that just doesn't work, We're getting an idea of some numbers here. You do a lot of things very well. You can certainly hit the ball. I mean, you've got a couple of 7-irons out there at 185 yards. I mean, that's a long way. It says we'll put a couple on the video now as well. You just get yourself another 2 or 3 there.
I don't know how nervous. I'm nervous at the shot.
There's a better strike as well. So okay, so I've got one in the video there. We'll get a look at some numbers here to get you an idea of what's happening at impact, and then we'll use the video to you know, sort of chat about why you make those numbers at impact. So your shots are actually fairly consistent. I know you talked about, you know, that's one of the things you like to improve on. One of the bits you talked about was your striking.
Yeah.
Right. So this wee bit here, attack angle and low point, right? So we've got an average of minus 2.1, right? That means as you're striking the ball, the club's 2.1 degrees on the way down, right? That's okay.
Right, okay.
Right? We'd like that to be a wee bit more down than that,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
3 or 4 degrees down.
Sorry, is that like facing down to the ground type thing?
Yeah, it was just the way the angle the club's moving as you strike it. If you see golf on the telly, you'll always see an iron shot coming down and the kind of divot coming after the ball, right? So that's where you're maybe going to be maybe closer to maybe 4 degrees on the downswing.
Okay.
So sometimes you catch them a little bit thin. A couple of those, there was no downward hit at all,
Okay.
right? We'll see on there why
That's
that
brilliant,
kind of happens, right? And that results in the lowest point of the club. So the club starts on the ground, goes up, back down and back up again. So your lowest point on average is 1.8 inches after the ball, which again is okay, but that's because some of them you've hit great. The ones you've hit really well, that will be about maybe 4 inches after the ball.
Right, okay.
Whereas some of them, the lowest point's right at the ball, and you're going to hit that thin.
Yeah.
Right? You've been very good on your club path, which is basically the direction that the club's moving as we strike the ball.
Okay.
So if you're coming down on the inside or the outside, your club's coming down very, very neutral there.
Oh, right,
nicely on line to the target.
That's good news.
That's like that's a big part on your
positive.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part on your direction. What you're seeing is, if you look at the line there, there's one right on it, 2 slightly to the right, but anything that's kind of bothering you is more to the left, and that's all caused by your club face, which is averaging 4 degrees closed to the path. So you've been kind of swinging the club down the line, but your club face has been turning over. And again, it's easy to look to go, oh well, I need to square my face up, but what's making you do that? You know, the first thing you would look at is that and say, well, how's your grip? You know, because you would think, oh, the grip may be a bit strong. It's not, right? So the grip, if anything, in theory, according to the manual, would actually send the ball to the right, right? Yeah, but you don't do that. So it's your reaction to a couple of things. Yeah, absolutely. And basically, you'll see it on here. But you know, you talked before about trying to, you know, hit the ball on the way down a little bit. So you kind of talked about kind of trying to maybe lean in there at the setup, right? Which is fine, right? But it's what happens at impact that matters. So what you've actually got there, you can see that there's a little hint of a lean into your front foot. You've got the shaft leaning forward, which is good. This is excellent. Really? That's absolutely bang on there, yeah. I mean, this is the bit you'll see your swing path will be very, very neutral. So what happens on here is you go, kind of, you get a little bit on the front foot here, you get there, and as you come down, because you're a little bit in front of it, you can't really go any further forwards, and you actually slightly go back the way.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then what happens is, so rather than you getting that kind of compression on the ball with the shaft leaning forwards, you're kind of forwards on the way back. So as you come down,
it's a bit of a...
and that's why you hit it thin, and that's why you hit it left.
Right, okay.
Right? So we'll get we'll show you on there first, but what we'll do is we'll get you kind of slightly loading into your right side on the way back, so then you can actually move into the ball on the downswing rather than going the other way. So the big thing would be this one here, but so I'll run it back and forward, both of them at normal speed, and then we'll put them on in slow motion, and you can really see what's going on, you know. So keep an eye on the TV there. You've got good speed, and there's plenty of speed, but you're kind of...
Yeah, I can see that already, actually, just kind of leaning back on it.
Well, to the naked eye, it looks really good, and then because we can put it on here in slow motion, we can see now you start to lean back the way.
And at that point, I should probably be leaning more into it.
Yeah, yeah. The way I'll put a wee kind of comparison on here. If we I'll put a wee line just at your left side of your cap there. So you would expect to load slightly into your right side on the way back, which you do a little bit. And now, as you come down, you can now see you're starting to go back the way.
Yeah.
So when it comes to impact, there's actually no real forward lean with the shaft. Right? And if I put a wee exaggeration on here, or one where...
It's so obvious when you see that, actually. It's...
Well, you'll see even more when you see this guy. You might recognise this guy. So we'll go to the top of the backswing. And this is more like a kind of 3/4 swing he's hitting there, right? But the big bit we're going to look at, so see when the club's kind of parallel to the ground, watch where Tiger's hands are. Okay, so see see how far forward the hands are, right? Because you're now starting to back up the way a little bit, now the shaft isn't leaning forwards.
It's actually...
It's almost back the way, isn't it? Yeah. And then if we see the forward lean in the shaft from Tiger there, now watch where the divot comes. Right. So he's leaning more into his front foot there, the hands are forward, so he's catching the ball, then the divot, but because you've got that slight reverse pivot there, you're almost catching the ball a bit scoopy on the upswing. And you can see how he drives the hands through the shot. So there's a lot of good things that you're doing there, and if we see the one down the line, this is very good. So we're on a good line here, and this is a bit that's very good. So that's showing your nice neutral club path there. So they see the club kind of pointing down towards the target. So when the ball goes left, you've basically just flipped. I mean, at this point here, the club face isn't closed, and you're very close to hitting the ball here. And then at the last second, because you're reversing slightly this way, that's where you add a bit of loft to the club, and you flip. There's the ball starting left to target.
Oh yeah.
All right. So the two things you would be doing here. So we've got to load the backswing first. So just take your setup there, even without the ball to start with. So the setup's been great, absolutely fine. We're going to try and keep your balance in the centre here at the setup. Okay. And as you go back, just slowly go to the top of your backswing and stop. So see how I actually nudge you slightly into your right side. Now you're in a position to attack the ball. Right?
Okay, yeah. So you kind of feel...
Just ever so slightly,
lean on this back leg.
Yeah. So if you were looking at a kind of, a numbers point of view, at my setup there, the balance is right in the centre. Okay. Top of the backswing, I've gone from 50-50 to 60-40.
Yep.
Just a wee 10% nudge to the right hand side, and then from there we'll talk about what happens next. But let's just do the backswing bit first, right? So you probably still hit a few thin or a bit heavy here. Don't worry about that, right? All we're going to be doing is loading the backswing first. So just feel just a balance in the centre at the setup, and just a little nudge to your right on the backswing. Now, I wish it was that easy, right? So now we're looking at, my thinking there was we'd do the backswing bit first.
Oh, right, sorry.
And then we'll do the downswing. Yeah. You're a step ahead. Right?
I was just like going from that, it made it so much easier just to go through like that.
See, we've hit down 5 degrees.
Wow.
Right? Low point is 4.5 inches after the ball.
Ah, right, jeez.
So, and because you weren't going that way, you didn't flip the club face over. Club face was nice and square. So the ball was carried 162 yards against the wind, by the way. So
wait till you see his distances.
It's even longer.
They're something else, sorry.
Oh,
well,
mate, don't do that to me.
Setting you up.
Like, that's why I go first. I'll go first, get these, and then you see Michael
right?
200 yards, is it? With this?
Is that right?
My swing's all over the joint,
but he gets some amount of, he gets really good distance.
Well, I tell you what, so you're swinging the club at 84 miles an hour there, okay? Now, the interesting bit there is that the swings you were doing before were actually faster.
Right.
And you've hit that further.
That's mad, isn't it?
Because you hit it better.
I was just trying to take my yeah.
Because you hit it better.
The club didn't work for you.
Exactly. So as you hit down on it there, you've carried the ball. So normalised takes the wind out of play and gives you like a premium golf ball, right? Because we're hitting slightly against the wind today. So you see there, the ball actually flew 162, but we take the wind out of play, and the ball flew 173. Cool. Now 173 is a strong 7-iron. Oh, really? That's a really strong 7-iron, right? Cool. That's because as you've hit down on it, you haven't added loft to it. Yeah,
Right, okay.
so you hit all that speed, but you're turning a 7-iron into a 9-iron.
Yeah, I feel as if, like, you know something, you're like that.
When you catch some
I feel
good,
as if a lot of my shots just go high, you know, like maybe too high, and I'm maybe not getting that nice, like a
Yeah,
nice,
because you're adding loft to it.
Yeah.
And that's why you thin it as well, because the club's catching the ball almost on the upswing. So right away, as you went there, you actually went, you did the next bit.
I want to feel that, like I do, like I feel as if recently I've came totally away from that, where I just don't feel I'm doing anything through, like with my legs, you know, so like, I don't know
because you're already on that side.
Yeah, I think it's 100%.
Then it goes there, you know. So I have another couple on there. Same idea, just that little nudge to the right on the backswing, and that puts you in a position to attack the ball. Didn't see that one. Again, we're 3 degrees down.
They feel better as if
the strike was good, aye. The strike was good. So it's going a little bit left, but not too bad. Still got a decent strike, 3 degrees down. Very good. Cool. So now we're getting the majority of your shots there, even though we haven't mentioned the downswing yet, you're kind of doing that because it's more natural.
Yeah.
So if you're here, unfortunately, the tendency, unless you're hitting a wedge or a 9-iron or something, you can still hit down. As soon as the club gets a bit longer, you're going to kind of back out it.
So I was almost kind of doing it backwards a bit, like.
Wee bit reverse, aye. Yeah. So now, if you're going slightly there, the kind of feeling as you start the downswing is that you mentioned about your legs there, is that you push down into your left foot.
Okay.
Right? So it's like my shoulder, my left knee are pushing down into the left foot there, and that's what's going to give you the compression, the downward, the squeeze, the divot after the ball. That's where your striking's going to get consistent, you know. So have a little, just go to see if you just go again, go to the top of your backswing and stop. Just a little nudge to the right. That one, last one there was down 6.8 degrees. So go to the top of the backswing, that's it, good. And then from there, you're feeling that shoulder, your left knee pushing down into your left foot. Have a go there, good. So now you're moving, there you go. So you see now the shaft's going to compress the ball, like we saw Tiger on the telly, right? Shaft lean, now that's the exaggeration of it, you're not likely to get there, but that's kind of just the feeling of it. But you've been doing it before by kind of leaning in there at the setup.
That makes total sense.
Good, so have a couple there, so a little nudge to the right and the way back, but then try and feel you push down into the left foot on the downswing. Good man. Perfect. Perfect. 5.3 down.
Oh, jeez.
Magic. Club path was still 0. Club face, tiny wee bit left. 168 carry. Normalise having a laugh going the wrong way. 9 feet to the right of the pin. All right. So these are the 2 bits, obviously they are good, but these wee bits here,
is what I'm really
that's the bit you're after, the ball tough contact. So your low point of the club is 4.5 inches after the ball.
What did we start with? We started like 1 or something?
Yeah. Some of them are around about 0. Jeez. That's the ones where you thin it. Tiny wee fade on the ball, so nothing doing that wee bit. Just a little baby fade. Club speed 89 miles an hour. You're looking at 170 odd yards on a 7-iron. But these are the ones here. That's the bit you mentioned at the start.
No, that's honestly, if I can get that, I can work on the rest of it, like distance. If I need to, but
well, you're going to get consistency in your distances then.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
You go like that and you flush a 7-iron, you hit it 175 yards.
Exactly.
And then you thin it, and you've no idea
100%.
what it's going to do.
I think that's honestly just makes so much sense. And I think before I came in here, I think that's what I really wanted. That's what I wanted to know. I was like, I just know I'm so inconsistent with my iron, so like that's made it so something I can focus on. And I kind of knew it was something to do with my legs, but I just wasn't too sure what it was. And it was.
See, it almost come up and out it that way. Whereas if you go there like that, you're actually squeezing. You saw when we had Tiger on there, the downswing, there was a slightly downward move with the iron shots.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So that's that attack angle was really a kind of, that has to happen on the iron shots.
I can't believe the difference in those numbers though. Like angle.
That's good. Point. Yeah, I mean you picked it up like that, so that sticks through all your iron shots.
Right, okay.
But we don't want to do that in your driver.
So different with the driver.
Absolutely. Grab the driver, we'll have a wee go with that.
There we go. Right. This is where it goes. That's where it goes downhill, Michael. I'll probably be hitting this less than hitting this less myself, haven't I?
So have a couple of little practice swings there. Just have a wee practice swing without the ball. So the ball position opposite your kind of left instep there. Cool. So the main thing we hear is, yeah, you still want to have that little bit into your right, you know, on the backswing. But what you don't want is...
You don't want to be leaning down into it?
No. Just should go ahead there. So ball position nicely forward, no lean into it at the setup as well. Just a little nudge into the right, good. A bit low in the face. We'll get 2 or 3 of these to get a wee feel for a couple of things. So a wee bit necky.
Yeah.
A bit heely. That's better. Yeah, so with your speed there, you should be hitting your driver further than that.
That's what I've been kind of struggling with. Like, I feel as if I've come out to this someplace and I'm like, okay, I'm consistently hitting it over like 250 carry and stuff, and I just feel as if I just don't get the power that I feel as if I maybe could.
Yeah, I mean, you've hit that a tiny wee bit off the heel, but you know, 106 miles an hour club head speed, that's good.
Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. That's you know, so you've got it 246 down there, carry 268 total. I mean, it's still decent.
Yeah.
But you know, spin is pretty good as well at 2.9. But it's just gone a little bit left because you're catching them. You're catching the majority just a wee bit in the heel of the driver. Is that kind of normal?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so.
So I mean, you're down 2.5 degrees. That's not the end of the world. Let's just have a wee look at it on the video. So again, you're good in the. You're very good on the setup. What we potentially look at is trying to feel that as we get in slightly behind it, it's just like we try and get hitting the ball a little bit more on the upswing, which is quite difficult for you now because we've just done about 20 shots trying to go the other way. You know, which is why we should never stand when we're on the driving range. We should mix the clubs up.
Okay.
Because if we get used to, if you're just focusing hitting down on it, you go to that and you're not going to hit your driver well. Plus, we go on the golf course, so you hit your driver down the first, you don't hit it till the second. Yeah. Then we stand up in the range and we hit 50 drivers in a row, you know. So that's a mistake that a lot of people can make. Let's have a look at this one here. It's not bad, to be fair. It's not like it's not as if there's a mega amount of shaft lean forward or anything. It's not bad. But you can see you're kind of struggling to get out of the way of that a little bit.
Yeah, it looks kind of awkward, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Your kind of arms folding a wee bit.
I feel as if I definitely see that if I ever look back at my swing. Like there's something that looks a bit awkward.
Yeah, that's a wee bit narrow, isn't it?
Follow through looks like I've hit something here on 50 yards as if I'm chuffing myself. Like I'm posing there.
You're posing for the cameras, that's it, isn't it? Cool. So there's kind of 2 wee things we'd look at on the driver, right? One would be quite easy to do. One's not easy to do, right? So we'll start off with the kind of easier bit, right? So see if you go to the top of your backswing and stop, right? This is just a dead simple wee kind of practice drill, right? If I put that there like that, and from there, try to feel that the club's going to come up over that head cover.
Do I do my swing?
Yeah. Cool. And again. Good. Okay. Now go to the top of your backswing and stop. Cool. So you're nicely in behind it now. So just slowly bring the club down. It says I'm holding you back a little bit there.
Yep.
So the exaggeration of that would be, it would almost be, you wouldn't want to do this, but the exaggeration would be, it would almost feel like you brush the mat back here.
Oh, right, okay.
And catch the ball. So that would be you catching the ball in the upswing.
Ah, okay.
Right. That's going to help you not hit it off the heel and give you a better flight on your driver. But that's what's, you know, the head covers there is a wee guide. Right?
So I kind of want to be...
You want to hit that ball. So the last one...
You always feel a wee bit of weight on this.
You might feel that, yeah.
Slightly.
Yeah. Cool. So not one of them has touched the head cover there. Right. So let's imagine the cover's still there. Okay, still a wee bit in the heel, but then we hit 1/2 degree up.
Right, okay.
Instead of 2.5 down. Right? And the same thing, feel you're hitting up through the ball. So flip your hands at that one.
Did I?
Right? Yeah. Flipped it over. 5.5 degrees up. Right. So that's changed massively.
That carries definitely better.
And suddenly, yeah, because you flipped at that one, right? But you've now got about another 20 yards of carry on that. You've gone 2 miles an hour faster, and you're looking at a 285 yard drive. So yeah, you got a bit busy with the hands there. You got a bit.
So was that just because I went flipped like that?
A bit, yeah.
And so I just need to more.
Well, that's something you need to manage a little bit.
Yeah.
But as you're getting slightly more here like that, it says now you've hit, as I said, 5.5 degrees up. That's almost too much.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Maybe it's a bit exaggerated.
Exactly.
That's unbelievable though. Like, see, before I came in here, that's generally what I was thinking. I was like, I want to learn how to more compress my irons to actually, because I know people like make divots after the ball, and I've never really been one to do that. So 100% I was like, I want to learn how to compress my irons. And secondly, I just want to I definitely feel as if, like you do hit the ball really far with like your driver. I feel as if I should be I always feel as if me and you should be closer to the 300 mark.
Well, we'll see where, for that club head speed there, sort of 108, if you'd be looking at, that's a pretty decent carry.
Yeah.
There, sort of
if I was getting that consistently, I'd love it.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
The 300 yards, you'd be looking at maybe 110, 111 mile an hour before you. That would
work on that.
Yeah, well,
by the sixth one.
Yeah, but we'll just get it.
Focus and just getting the consistency. I mean, even if you were hitting like that, consistent, that would be absolutely amazing.
Makes sense on the.
Oh, 100%. So the driver it's just I'm just kind of
feel as if you're just slightly here.
To be kind of, what kind of got it for me was when you were saying you should almost be hitting there and then up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of I think that's making me kind of. I don't know, it's just giving me that feeling.
So you could actually put the club. You could go. So if I was going in that way there, if that was a ball, you could actually set the club there, and just feel that.
Yeah.
So just clip from behind it, just clipping the top of the tee.
So was I maybe just hitting it almost straight,
almost maybe down. The first one we got there was 2.5 degrees down.
Right. Okay.
You weren't even getting there with your 7 to start with.
No, exactly. I suppose actually you're right.
So stick to those bits just now.
100%.
There's the iron shots, but everything gets slightly in this way. Then it's there on the iron shots, in behind the driver, and feel you're hitting up through the back of the.
Already, that's
the ball.
That's not too much information.
No.
That's properly just. It's things I can easily work on.
Yeah.
That's
brilliant.
really good.
Brilliant.
Absolutely love that.
You do a lot of things really well.
No, thank you so much. That was
we'll get a wee look at.
That was brilliant.
Switched over. Just in your own time. Again, we'll knock a few. We're heading down towards the 125 again there.
Right, okay.
That's the target. Cool. So again, no official handicap.
Nah, probably.
You feel about the same?
Early 20s, I would say.
Tell you what, he's a better. Well, certainly better than that.
I
wouldn't like to play you for money if you're playing off for 20 something.
I we do. We can hit some nice shots, whatever it is. We're so inconsistent.
Right. We'll do a session there as well, So cool. Yeah, fire a few there. Towards that 125. We'll use that as our aim. Good strike there. And where there's inconsistency, is there a kind of pattern to that at all?
I slice the ball quite
Slice
a
the ball,
lot.
right, cool.
Slice it quite a bit.
More so on the longer clubs?
I would say so.
Yeah. There's one there, isn't it?
Aye.
Yeah, cool. So let's have a look at the numbers on that. So there's no issue with attack angle, like we talked about with Stephen there, right? So now we're looking more about, in terms of TrackMan here, is more about club path and your club face to the path. So when you strike, you see you carried that 157, right? When you strike it with a more square club face, carried at 180, right? It's 23 yards of difference just by a wee glancey.
Yep.
A wee glancing strike. So this one here you can see, so minus 5.7, that means as you're striking the ball, the club's moving 5.7 degrees. If you ever hear from out to in, that's your club path.
Right,
So that's hitting across that way, right? So if your club face is pretty square to that, the ball will go straight left. If it's a tiny little bit open to the path, you'll get a nice little fade. And if it's more open to the path, it's going to go that way. That's where you lose all the distance. So you see there, that's your number there. Your club face is 8.9 degrees open to the path, right? So that club face is pointing that way as you're cutting that. Yeah, exactly. And then you can see the ball. I put that on a wee kind of diagram there. The ball's not even started at the target, and it's going that way there like that. If you look at the ones that are, if we go back into one that you've hit down the middle there, carry 23 yards further, you'll see how straight the ball flies. Right, 20 feet left of the pin, but look how tight. See how much tighter the numbers are. Right, club face is king. That's something you can always remember. Where that club face is pointing, that'll send the ball in the direction. The club face where that's pointing will send the ball basically. And where the path is, we'll kind of put the shape on it, put the curvature on it.
Right, okay.
So what we want to do is get you a more neutral swing path.
Yeah.
So more like this, instead of kind of chopping across it, and a club face is not going to be hanging open all the time. So when you go to a driver with a lower lofted, you're looking at hitting a slicey one all the time. So two things you would look to do there. Let's have a quick look at it on there.
Yeah.
So you're good on the setup. I would narrow the stance slightly.
Narrow
Your feet, shoulder width is plenty there for a mid iron. But if you watch the club going up and down, so nicely on line here, nice spot at the top, and then it comes slightly over, and now the club, if I put a line through the club head through your hands there, you're going to see that that's pointing
well open
left of the target. So for the ball to start where it does, so the ball starts down the line, but we know that went quite a bit to the, so basically the club face is open as you strike the ball, which you'll see a wee hint of on the face on one. There you go. That club's hanging open there.
Yeah.
And then it releases just a little bit after it. So the two main things we'll look at, a couple of wee things you can do that we don't even need to think about your actual technique, right? So I'm going to put a wee line on the ground here, right? And all you need to do here, so slightly narrower stance, and just feel your downswing. Yeah, perfect. All you're going to think about is on your downswing that the club comes along that chalk line, right? Backswing just stays the same. Don't need to do anything differently. You might still, you'll likely still miss to the right here, but we'll talk about the next bit after that. But all you need to do is feel the club coming along that chalk line on the downswing. Good.
Did that go anywhere near it?
That went out to the right. Perfect. We saw a bit of chalk popping up. Yeah, that's
You had to kind of gauge it. Where should you be looking when you're swinging the club? Do you look right at the ball, or do you look in front or behind it?
I quite like to look at the front of the ball. I think you compress it quite nicely though, so you're okay. One of the keys, this is something for us all. You see so many people doing this, just on that kind of wee point there, that go, because we get this obsession we get told to keep our head down. Keep your head down, right? So people do this, and they go, right, where'd the ball go? Because I'm too busy looking here, right? But it holds us back as well, right? So obviously I wouldn't say take your eye off the ball, but watch it, but go with it.
Go with the ball.
Right,
Okay.
If you go back, David Duval, world #1 back in the 90s, Open champion at Royal Lytham. Annika Sonnenstam, probably the best female golfer ever. Both of them, the impact.
Follow the ball.
Are looking at the target.
Way,
that way, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not saying you do that, but go with the ball.
Go with the
ball. Always going with it, always watching the ball.
Right.
But this wee bit here, and we'll see a couple of numbers changing on TrackMan. Okay, a wee bit narrower stance. Good. Just follow that wee chalk line. Just swaying off it a wee bit, but we'll come on to that. Don't worry about that. Good. So still coming a bit across it. Yeah, so you still see coming across at 4, right? So that can come down more, but the more you go, keep coming on that chalk line. Difficult bit is,
where am I going before that? Am I kind of more in here?
So go to the top of your backswing and stop. Right. So what was happening is you would go from here, that your hands and arms and right shoulder would come out that way. So if that comes down, now you can see I've exaggerate that, the shaft's pointing left of the target. So you're going to glance across it like that, right? Go back up to the top, the kind of mechanics of it are, so that your back would stay facing the target, the shoulder stays there, and that club comes down in here like that. And now you can see the club's actually pointing out to the right hand side. Comes along through that way, and then you would start to release the club, and eventually that would start giving you a little bit draw shape. That's down the line, but the big bit to start with is getting into that little bit there. So as you start the downswing, you feel like your back stays at the target, right? But using that wee line kind of helps to do the job for you, really, without having to think too much about technique. The weird thing is that you've been slicey, right? Because you hit across it, so it's very difficult for you to trust that you can actually swing the club this way.
Feel weird.
It doesn't feel right. But what happens next is we start to get, the club will start to turn over, and that's the big thing that will stop you missing out to the right, you know. So have a couple, just go one more on that, and then we'll just talk about release of the club. Still came across that one a bit. Yeah, you can see it's 6.9. So that will take a bit of getting used to. But as we do the other bit, that will start to help as well. So take your set up there, right?
Yep.
So keep hold of the club here, right? Keep hold of the club. So because you're used to coming slightly over like that, as you come exaggerating that, you'll come across it and you'll leave the face open.
Yeah.
And then you release the club once it's away, right? So what we're going to do now is get your forearms to release the club earlier. And that's where you're going to, as you come down in here, you're going to feel, and that's the bit that's going to stop you slicing it. So you think, well, if I get that turning over with it using the forearms there, how can I possibly go right?
Yeah.
And then you start to trust that you can use that wee line. Yeah. The kind of feeling would be if I was standing here and you were there and I was going to shake your hand like that, so your move would be more like that, so you feel like you're right, your forearms are turning over through the shot there. Just do that wee feeling again. So as you're coming down here, don't worry about the path at this point, all you're thinking about is that bit there, and that's the bit that's going to get the, yeah, good. Yeah, so there's a couple of shots nice and easy, just doing that. Don't worry about that line around, slightly narrower stance, don't worry about that wee line around, just ignore everything else. You're just going to feel the forearms turning over. Yeah, the forearms will rotate over. Just swing off it, I don't worry.
I can totally see that difference in your swing already though.
Well, so it's like more...
Yeah, it's just the forearms rotating like that. Because you're used to leaving the face wide open. And if the ball goes to the right, the face is still open. You know, so club face is still to the right. It wasn't too bad. It's getting closer. That would just take a bit of getting used to.
And there's too much like that, and you can turn it in a wee.
That's it. Perfect. So have a look at this. Right. So we look at one of the ones, the slicey ones at the start.
Yeah.
So we've got one over here. So the club 3.6 out to in. That's another one, 3 point, there was another one there. 5.7 out to in with 8.9 open on the club face, right? That one you've just hit there, the club path was 0, which is obviously very neutral, and you turn the face over 4 degrees. So you actually
Is that when I've closed it?
Yeah, yeah. And you actually put about 3-4 yards of draw on that. So that's what's going to give you that stronger contact, but crucially this wee bit here, stop you the slice. So it takes a bit of getting used to, but the good thing is you do one that kind of complements the other. Yeah. So if you feel you're going, but it's hard for a slicer to feel you're going out that way. Yeah. So I'd maybe focus on this wee bit first. It's kind of forearms there and stuff, like a kind of topspin tennis shot, if that makes sense. If I'm spinning a rugby, you ever spin a rugby ball like that? Kind of like that, yeah. So you do that, that gets the ball turning that way, and then you can start to trust the other bit, you know. All right, cool. So stick to that bit just now. That's kind of quite a bit, so we'll get some drivers and stuff next time, but the driver totally applies to that as well.
Same idea.
But that's where you get there. It says you just hit 186 yards with a 7-iron. That's
that felt really nice, actually.
92 miles an hour. Yeah, and as I said, you got a wee bit of, you actually got...
narrower on the stance as well.
Yeah, yeah. But other things we can do going forwards, but stick to those bits just now. But plenty of good stuff there, aye. Well done. Oh, there's hope. There's hope you can both hit it. And by the way, as I said, I'm not playing you for money at 20 odd handicap. That's for sure, you know. So try and get a bit of practice on them. Plenty of wee soft shots. You know, don't try and kill it all the time. You'll get the stuff into your system quicker. Wee soft shots, 9 irons, 7 irons, wedges. By all means, hit some drivers. Keep bringing it back down to the soft stuff, and we'll catch up in another couple of weeks or so.
Excellent.
All right. Pleasure. Well done.
So you'll probably see from the footage you're just about to see that by the end of it I wasn't really able to hit a golf ball, because it was just, they drew a line and it's hard to follow that path because all you're looking at is the golf ball. But actually when he's like, it's perfect, I was like, how was that close to the path? I was like, I don't know, mate, I couldn't tell you, you tell me. But no, I really enjoyed it, and at the very end, that guy's chipping balls off the green. Like, by the end of the 6 lessons, he's the right guy to teach us because he knows his stuff. And the way he analyses it, it's like you've actually got digits on a screen telling you exactly what's happening with your swing and the ball, where it's going, what your club face is saying, what your swing path's saying. So it started to make a bit more sense towards the end, but it's a lot of information to kind of take on board at the one time. At the end, it started to click. I wish the lesson was longer, but I think next time I'll have that information, I'll work on it when we're away, and then I'll come back a better golfer, let's hope.
So we've just finished our very first golf lesson. It's actually really, really good, to be honest with you. I know like Michael's kind of saying that he might have been like struggling to take a lot of the stuff in. I feel as if with me, he kind of broke, it was like, okay, there's one thing you need to work on with your irons at the moment, there's one thing you need to work on your driver, and I think mine was kind of where I was putting my weight. So like before with my irons, I was actually almost hitting up on my irons. I was actually hitting down on my driver. So I just need to kind of switch that along, and it's just kind of like where to put your weight on your legs, which to be honest was really simple, just to like put that in like terms, it's just dead easy to like feel. I mean, so I think straight away for the first lesson, I think that was actually amazing, really, really good. And see, honestly, I think anytime you go for a lesson, your handicap will probably go up, man, because it's like you start thinking a lot of stuff. It almost gets worse before it gets better, and I think ours couldn't get much worse. But no, I think it was really good. I think it was a great start. I'm looking forward to the rest of them. We've got our 5. I think our short game could do with a good improvement. So we'll go out on a 9-hole course in Newton Mearns. It's actually a really, really nice facility, man. They've got a 9-hole course, they've got an Italian restaurant. I think if you want to get your nails done, they've got that here as well. You can actually get a haircut, which we could probably do with, to be honest. And then there's a pro shop here as well. It's actually just a really nice place to come, man. You can actually spend the day here quite easily. But so yeah, first of 6, and we'll be back with more videos. So this is going to be a wee short series. We'll do the 6 lessons, and we'll see kind of see the comparison. Overall, it was actually a really, really good experience. There's a lot of work to be done. See you in the next video.